You're here because you're thinking about moving to Northern Virginia, and Vienna, Northern Virginia is actually one of the places that popped up on your radar. You probably heard that it's one of the more beautiful places to live here in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, but we're actually going to go into a lot of those details today, so stick around and find out why Vienna, Virginia might be the best place to live for you. Hey everyone, this is Paul Kim with the Fast Results Group, and whether you're thinking about moving here to Northern Virginia, or if you're thinking about making a transition within Northern Virginia, you're here in the right place because in this channel we talk about anything and everything related to living here in Northern Virginia. Today, we're actually going to do a little bit of a dive into Vienna, Virginia. We're going to start today with some of the basic information, and then after that, we're going to go into some pros and cons. We're actually going to start with the cons first today because there's really not that many. And then we're going to go into what it's like to live in Vienna and why it's such a beautiful and wonderful place. And at the end of the video, you can decide whether Vienna is the right place for you and your family. So let's get to it. So where exactly is Vienna, Virginia? Well, if you look at the map, you're going to see that we are pretty central to the Northern Virginia area. We're just north of Route 66 and just west outside of the Beltway, which is 495. About 15 miles west outside of Washington, D.C. And ultimately, you're just very conveniently located to most of the places that you want to go. In terms of vibes, because you're far enough outside of Washington, D.C. where you're not really in the city, you have access to all the city-like amenities that you might enjoy, but you really get to live sort of in the heart of suburbia and even in nature. And we'll get to some of that later as we explore some of the different neighborhoods. But ultimately, that's kind of where Vienna is. Just a few basic statistics. In the town of Vienna, there's about 16,000 people. The median household income is $215,000 per year. And the median age is about 41.2. So it's not on the younger side. It's not on the incredibly older side. You're probably going to have a lot of families in this suburban neighborhood of Vienna. And if you're actually interested in a lot of nitty-gritty details, and we're talking like fine nitty-gritty details about Vienna, their website, viennava.gov, actually has a lot of information. And unlike many other websites, it's actually well organized. So if Vienna, Virginia is a place in which you're considering living or moving to, after you watch this video, I would encourage you to check out that information on that website to learn more. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of the negatives of Vienna, Virginia. And the first one, con number one, much like Northern Virginia in general, it's simply the cost of living. I'm going to share with you some numbers of what that actually looks like in terms of your day-to-day living expenses, and compare some of Vienna's expenses to the US average. For example, categorically speaking, just looking at the cost of something as simple as a hamburger. In Vienna, it's going to cost $6.96, and the US average is $5.36. Talking about large pizza, the US national average is $12.04, whereas in Vienna, it's $12.89. 6.5% higher. A doctor's visit across the United States averages to about $131. In Vienna, it's about $144, almost a 9% increase. A dentist visit in Vienna is about 9% higher than the national average. But this is where the cost of living really is felt in Vienna. Again, much like Northern Virginia in general, is the housing market. The average rent across the United States is $1,470.04. In Vienna, the average rent is $2,400.51.90. So that's a 40% increase. In terms of mortgages, the average mortgage across the states is $2,283. In Vienna, it's about $4,650, which is a little over 50% higher than the national average. So as you can tell, it's not cheap to live in Vienna, Virginia. Continuing on to con number two, is actually kind of an extension of con number one, which is the high cost of living, is the additional property tax that you're going to pay in Vienna, Virginia. What do I mean by that? Well, Vienna itself as a town charges an additional property tax on top of what you're already paying for Fairfax County property taxes. How much extra property tax are you going to pay? The specific number is 19.5 cents per $100. That's again in addition to the Fairfax County property tax. If you own a home in Vienna, Virginia, that's about $1 million. That means you're going to pay an extra $1,950 a year just on the Vienna property tax. And con number three, which really might not be a con depending on how you look at it, is that there are not a lot of actual employment opportunities in the town of Vienna, Virginia. You're going to find that Vienna is mostly residential, and so you actually have to travel outside of Vienna to get to the places that you want to work. mostly in Tysons, maybe in DC, different areas scattered throughout Northern Virginia. But at the end of the day, most of the time it's not in Vienna. So if you want to work close by, Vienna might not be the place for you. But if you enjoy living in a place that's close to work, but not in its backyard, maybe it's not a con after all. And last but not least, echoing the same con that we find through all of Northern Virginia, DC, Metro, DMV area, is simply the traffic. Anytime we get to a place like this in Vienna or just near DC in general, where there is a high population, there are people constantly coming here because they love the quality of life here, you're just gonna have a lot of people. And where there's a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic. We've talked about in other videos how you might be able to avoid some of that traffic, but at the end of the day, realistically, there's just a lot of people here because they love living here, which leads to traffic. And honestly, that's really it for the cons. So let's get into the pros. Why do people love living in Vienna, Virginia? Pro number one is actually the relative ease of travel. Now, I know that in Northern Virginia in general, there is a lot of traffic, but because of where Vienna is geographically located, you're actually going to be in a place that's pretty easy to access other places. Just north of Vienna, you have Route 267, which is the Dulles Toll Road. It goes far west into Loudoun County, takes you all the way into the city. Just south, you have Route 66, which also goes west and east, another major highway we can just hop on, get to wherever you need to go. And then you're also just west of 495, which is the Beltway. But if you're in Vienna, you have easy access to all three of those major highways. So if you ever need to go anywhere, just hop on the highway, get to where you gotta go. If you're not really into driving, there are two metro stations that go through Vienna. It's going to be the Orange Line, and you're going to have the Vienna station as well as the Dunloring station. And last but not least, if you're a biker or you like to walk, and this will go into recreation as well, but you have the W&OD Trail, which is 45 miles from Shirlington all the way down by Arlington, even close to Alexandria area, west into Purcellville. So if you're a biker and you love commuting, that's one way to travel also. Pro number two that you see in Vienna, Virginia is the top-notch education system. Much like Fairfax County, Virginia in general, Vienna is also going to be known for some of the highly rated schools. A friend of mine who actually lives here in Vienna says that when he drives around, he feels like there's a school on every corner. Is that actually true? Probably not, but it does kind of go to show how much Vienna cares about their education. The public schools associated with Vienna, Virginia are Cunningham Park Elementary School, Louis Archer Elementary, Marshall Road Elementary, Vienna Elementary, Thoreau Middle, as well as James Madison High School. The schools that are listed, I'm talking more about the Vienna proper, the town of Vienna. Once you get into Dunloring and then Wolf Trap, we're going to have a few more different schools, but at the end of the day, they're going to be very highly rated nonetheless. If you have any specific questions about the schools, depending on which specific area of Vienna you live in, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll get you all the answers that you need. Pro number three of living here in Vienna, Virginia, is the abundance of nature and parks and recreation, in which I actually believe is one of the factors that sets Vienna apart from most of Northern Virginia in general. And the first of the parks that I want to highlight is Meadowlark Botanical Gardens. Now, my family and I actually love going here, especially depending on the season. There's an $8 admission fee for adults, $4 if you are 6 through 17, and under 5, it's free. But if you get in there, you're going to be able to walk the countless trails, just walking through nature. I'm going to show you some pictures just so that you can see exactly what it's like over there, but it's simply beautiful. Some people that I know actually say it's one of the most beautiful places in Northern Virginia, hands down. It's pretty common to see photography sessions happening in the background, and you might even get weddings that take place there. The second park that I want to present is Wolf Trap National Park for the Performing Arts. And it's actually the only national park that's focused on presenting performing arts. The park actually summarizes itself like this. No matter what your age or taste in shows, you'll find something you like on stage at Wolf Trap National Park for the Performing Arts. From May through September, multiple amphitheaters in the park present performances such as musicals, dance, opera, jazz, and popular and country music. And while those are the popular times, a good time to explore the beauty and history of the park without the crowds, of course, is October through April. Basically, you get to enjoy the performing arts while being outside in a beautiful natural park. What else could you ask for? Pro number 4 is that you get that small town community feel. One of the biggest events of the year in Vienna is called Viva Vienna. It's one of Vienna's biggest events of the year, and it's where local businesses and institutions gather and they're going to welcome you to enjoy food, music, crafts, amusement rides, and so much more, with everybody in town coming together to have fun. It's really just going to celebrate the town of Vienna. Another awesome thing that happens is called Vienna Restaurant Week. And as it sounds, it's really just a restaurant week where different restaurants in Vienna will have special set menus so that customers can come through, try different foods, pay a relatively cheaper price, and enjoy the food that's offered in Vienna. And usually you'll see iconic restaurants like Basin's on Church as well as Gem and Java. And last but certainly not least, there's an event called Chillin' on Church. Church is a street in Vienna, Church Street. And this is where block parties come alive. There's gonna be local food, local brews, there's going to be music, family-friendly activities. It's just another event where the neighborhood people of Vienna can gather, have fun, enjoy each other's company, and really just enjoy the town of Vienna. Love it. And the final pro for living in Vienna really is just going to be the convenience of everything. You're literally going to have everything that you need within the town of Vienna. For me, I value food. Anything from fast food chains to cheap chain restaurants to the high class, super tasty Michelin star restaurants. I love it all and I value it, just depends on the day. Vienna really does have it all. It has your Chipotles, it has your Starbucks, there's a bunch of smoothie shops, coffee shops. My favorite restaurant to date probably is the Maple Avenue restaurant over on Maple Ave. I actually haven't had it in a while and is due to go back, but I still remember the dish. It was a seared salmon risotto with basil ice cream on top. It sounds kind of weird, but it was literally the best thing I've ever had in my life. But that's the food scene here. That's the convenience that we get in Vienna. Everything that you need is just a short drive away, if not walk, depending on where you live. So those are some of the basics about Vienna and about what it's like to live here. But I think Vienna, Virginia is actually one of those places where if you don't actually come see and drive around and see the neighborhoods yourself, you're not really going to get an accurate feel for it. Go try the restaurants, come with me, take a drive, I'll show you some cool houses, come explore the neighborhood with me, and I think then you'll get more of a feel beyond just the statistics and the map views and all the stuff about what Vienna is like. Let's start that conversation so that we can actually explore the neighborhood live together. In the meantime, if you have any questions about Vienna, Virginia outside of some of the stuff that we covered today, or if there are any specific neighborhoods or homes or restaurants or anything else in Vienna or Northern Virginia in general that you want to see, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm just a call, text, email away. I'm happy to answer any of your questions and really just happy to serve any of your needs, whatever way possible, to the best of my ability. So let's talk soon. Thanks again. Until next time.